I'm coming at you from a kind of cloudy day here in London, cloudy summer's day. I want to talk to you about a realization that I had, and that is about the importance of being alone. The importance of being alone. Too many people, especially in this climate and what's been going on for the past year and a half, that seems like a lifetime, are scared to be alone. And many elderly, many vulnerable people, I know many of the people that I know who have elderly, I have elderly people in my family, and it's not nice to be alone. Now, I'm not talking about being alone in situations where you can't help being alone. I'm talking about the need to deliberately plan some alone time. And sometimes if you do find yourself being alone, it can actually be really empowering. And here's the thing, folks. I had a couple of my coaching clients talk to me about feeling alone right now because they're separated from their family. They had to travel for work, and they managed to travel for work, and they're feeling alone. They're feeling apart. Another of my coaching clients is going through a fairly messy sort of separation. It's difficult for them. They feel like his friends have kind of neglected him. And he's drowning himself in work. He's an executive. He has a high-powered position, and he's just losing himself in work. But he hates being alone. Here's the thing, for all of us, and I've faced it in my life. I mean, there were times when I was all alone. I'd lost my mother, and I found myself being alone at home because everybody else was out. And I spent long periods of time sometimes being alone. And what I want to share with you is being alone can be turned around to be an ally for all of us. We find so many reasons to not be alone sometimes, but actually being alone has a number of benefits. Let me run through them. Number one, when you find times to strategically be alone, to tactically, deliberately, consciously go out of your way to find alone time if possible, or even if you find yourself, inadvertently being alone, there's some powerful things that can happen. Number one, you get to start to face up to some negative emotions, right? For a lot of people, when they're alone for an extended period of time, certain emotions come up. Our mind starts to talk. We start to worry about different things in our lives. The little monkey mind starts to tap in. What happens is when that happens, you're in a position where you can start to address what those feelings are showing you. This is really important. So you get to start to share what those feelings mean for you. You start to dig into the feeling. You start to be able to lean into that feeling, right? So leaning into the feeling, leaning into the emotions that are showing up when you're alone allows you to face the emotions. It allows you to query the emotions, like why are you showing up? If it's anger, if it's resentment, it's guilt, maybe it's shame or loss, whatever emotion is showing up, negative or positive, you get to ask, why is that emotion there? If it's a negative emotion, you get to ask the emotion, why are you here? What are you here to show me? Why is it that every time when I'm alone, this emotion shows up? It's horrible, it's disempowering, it's, why do I feel that way? And by asking questions, by leaning into it, by asking questions, you start to be able to unravel why it's showing up. And when we sit alone for long enough, the answers to those questions start to show up because our subconscious mind starts to open up. It starts to unbridle itself, and it starts to reveal more and more answers. So the more we start to answer the questions, the more we start to address and heal that negative emotion. Now, if it's a positive emotion that's showing up and you feel happy, you feel gratitude, even if it's not, you can use that alone time to generate those positive emotions. What I mean, get into a state of gratitude. That's what I mean. Getting to a state of gratitude whilst you're alone, if you're bored, if you're not sure what to do, rather than just numbing your mind with TV, right? We do this all the time. Instead of numbing our minds with TV or other distractions, why not sit in a state of gratitude and bring to mind those things that we're grateful for, right? Family, house, belongings, our life, the air we breathe. And by bringing to our conscious mind the things that we're grateful for, we start to be able to we plant the seeds of opportunity to have more of those in our life. And what we do is we amplify the feeling, so we raise our vibration. And this is such a powerful antidote to negativity, to fear about what's going on, to uncertainty, to doubt, to a distrust, to disunity right now in this climate. We start to address those things by focusing on what we're grateful for, what we do have, what we do care about, what we are grateful for. And I think it's a great time when we're alone to amplify that. So that's another thing that happens when we're alone. Another thing that happens when we're alone, God, my shoulders are hurting. Another thing that happens when we're alone is we get a chance to go and learn something new, right? So maybe there's a hobby or a skill. For me, when I'm alone, I get to play piano or sing. Maybe for you, it's something that you don't want to do. But being alone allows you to create a constructive hobby, or to re-embrace a hobby that you forgot about in the past, right? Or to rediscover something with somebody. But being alone is just you and that hobby. I don't mean going phoning a friend and say, let's hang out. I mean deliberately being alone and discovering a hobby, maybe reading, maybe walking, jogging, exercise, but finding a hobby where you and that hobby are the only two things there. It's just you and the hobby, that's all. And that's powerful. That's really, really powerful. And I think this is the important thing that we need to do, to be able to embrace a hobby or a discipline. So that's the second reason why being alone can be so beneficial. And the third benefit that we can have when we're alone is we're able to replenish our cognitive faculties. That is to say, our mind and brain is so engaged consciously in the beta frequency. We're so busy doing stuff that we can, when we're alone, we can switch from being to doing. From doing to being. When we're alone, we can move from the doing energy, right? Work, family, interactions, watching TV, doing this, doing that, and you go from a doing energy to a being energy. When you're being, that is to say, you're just still. You're meditating. Now we get a chance to meditate. We get a chance to introspect. We get a chance to journal. These are things that for some people are just like, that's a coach talking, Prash is just talking, that's not for me. But actually these sorts of things can heal generational wounds, ancient wounds. They can help us to sow the seeds for a better future. They help us to be able to pivot in these, shift situation in this difficult times that we're in. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to obviously end by inviting you, of course, if you haven't already, go check out the YouTube channel, Urban Spirituality, where this wisdom I'm trying to share all the time, and I have done for years. Check out Urban Spirituality on YouTube, the YouTube channel. Go subscribe, and the podcast of the same name on iTunes, Spotify. And what I've done in that podcast is to really bring together people from around the world to share their life lessons. And perhaps there's some wisdom for you to learn when you're alone. Maybe that's a thing you could do when you're alone, to listen to a podcast. That's another great constructive thing to do. So check it out, and would love to hear your own benefits, views, experiences about being alone, and also how you're deliberately going to start planning to be more alone at times. Let us know.